everybody's asking for our address.
Oh, that's right. I didn't know if it was a question or not.
Well, I don't know. I'm assuming it's working. Okay.
How are you, sir?
All right, how are you?
How are you?
Congrats to you.
Oh, thank you.
Is it official or?
Not yet.
Well,
Is it-
I have
you
to,
have
I
any-
got
are
your
you gonna
advice.
do the, are you gonna do the meeting on Monday? Okay, then just don't. Just say,
Just not
remember
exactly
exactly
what
what
we
we want to do, because if so. do- I'm doing operations and and then.
Well, I'm trying
So
to.
that's why I'm like,
I'm trying.
making her come to everything.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, just
Yeah, so is that city?
City Hall, City Hall, yeah.
real quick before you leave.
Oh,
No, it's needs you to answer his email. And he will be there at the meeting, board meeting on,
Yeah.
just to get the.
Yeah, I need to
signatures
sign
and
something.
Yeah.
And then Reyes is already doing that other stuff.
the IT stuff. Okay, yeah, he just needs to know who your IT is and because he might be able to get you guys a messenger without having, like, because things is going on.
Yeah, but that's what Reyes is doing.
Yeah, so he may be able to get you guys back up, maybe that access as
I'll
well.
talk to him. Reyes is already doing that.
Sounds good. Yeah, he said he was gonna come and then it's right across, I don't know where the news office is, like it's not accountability, that's City Hall. It's like, oh, I don't know if we thought about it for a little bit. but nice. Can you do some work?
They are, they're, no, I have a question for you though.
So what is this discussion that Lourdes is having regarding Karen? How do you guys want to do with that?
I guess state police is
What are we
paying
gonna
for
do?
it. I don't know. I didn't want it.
I don't know, like, how that's gonna tie into us.
It's statewide for information sharing. That's
The
how they're
cities
selling
are
it.
not in the state system, city has their own paragraph, but they.
And all it is is just a data gathering tool.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
I didn't want it. But state police is paying for it. We have a meeting with them.
But what, so are they wanting to tie into our CAD and tie into our
That's not gonna be on us because we don't have that.
no, you would still need the information because they still have it extra. Okay. Because I think this is my long-term plan. You don't do that, because instead we focus on Margaret getting a new CAD, which Margaret owns the CAD. Margaret then in turn, as the owner of CAD, is also the, record management system over it as well. We get all agencies on the RMS. And we also be able to divvy out based upon that, and potentially do all of your MDTs that Margaret has, which is issues that have part of our agreement and with our contributions. So like I told, it was in the, yeah, it was fire, it's a fire. Yeah, great. Because my intention is, now that we know that we can get some state money, the state is going out for an RMS on, or going out for an RFP on it, as soon as it gets state pricing, then I find out how much it's gonna cost, and then we actively pursue it, and we get you all on that. So don't invest in anything in pilot, in 3 years, it's not gonna be there. I know. So instead, we, like, hold off on it, let us get everything taken care of, and then we will run entities and everything through us,
Yeah, I'll talk to you.
including paragraphs.
Because our meeting is Thursday.
Hey, this Thursday?
Yeah.
After the meeting,
Yeah,
ready for
before meeting.
Thank you, by the way.
Yeah, I don't even know what it is.
Yeah, I mean, City PD does it right now for their RTCC. There's just a lot of. I don't let anybody go directly into it. So if we were to let Paraffin in to their server, or even like City Fire wants to do that, they're trying their employees and stuff directly into it, they're gonna do that, Tyler will not like anything. They didn't told us flat out, you let anybody in, we're done. It's all on you. Exactly. So, we, City PD, we've got something else.
Yeah, because they were pitching it at one of the other meetings, that's useless to our small department, but I guess they sponsor everyone on it. So
I mean, it makes sense. I understand the need for it because you're at something you can get on it and you know everything's on it rather than just your agency. So completely understand the need for it. It's just the way they're is kind of.
yeah, that meeting go.
Well, it's the same thing like statewide law, we want to go and have one.
But we're not in the business. we're gonna make it work all of us. And it's gonna cost me $19. Even on in 2 years. And this way, we're gonna be up and running by July. We're gonna be fully up and running by July. Everything's gonna, it's gonna, how many cities do you have dollars when planner, paper, labels, file holders, and then being able to make sure that we actually know specifically where everything is going. Everything is that. So, we're not gonna wait for them. So,
I will call you back anymore, you do this. I'm looking at you, call them back. Like, get over here. And I was like, oh, is that the time?
oh yeah,
That's the bad.
already, this trip is gonna be
Nice.
I love my best friend.
How are you?
Good, and yourself?
Fine, thank you.
I'm doing well. How about yourself? I know. Same here.
And I love how she's like, do some administrative, like,
Okay. Yeah, I'm all over the place. I'm all over the place. Oh, you want the car? Oh, okay. I'm around. Good.
So what you guys were doing that, with Gregory, that's when I had CPR. I'm just gonna put on my calendar. Yes. Yeah, just something, it's essentially what we're gonna do, is you at the. No, I just, no, I wanted to give you credit.
Oh, no, sorry about that.
Is there a calendar that would place tuition?
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Fine. Enjoying the weather?
I think it's gonna be way too hot this summer. I think we're in for a crazy little summer. That's what it feels like to me.
I don't recall having this kind of weather in March.
It's way too hot. And see, I have a big mulberry, which, I mean, it's a non-bearing mulberry, thank goodness, but it gives me a lot of shade. And it's so early in the year that it's still blooming. It doesn't even have all its leaves, so it's not providing shade. So it's really hot. And then my grandbabies are over and they get hot, and it's just,
I usually don't turn on the AC until the last week in April, but this year's going to be different.
I know, me too. I usually do it like the second week in May, actually, when I turn on my air. And
Yeah, because usually in April I'm so cold.
hi, Gloria. How are you? Good. How are you? Hanging in there. Hanging in there. How about you? Little. Hey.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm livid to our different levels. Look, I even made you guys copies of why I'm so livid.
Oh,
Here's one for you. Here's one for you.
are you going to be able to
Yeah, we'll do it down there.
attend the meeting on Wednesday?
It's up to you. I'm just so livid about that.
You're moving? You're moving things?
No, we want to have the Worksession down there.
Oh, we're going to vote.
Hi, Eduardo. Read this, please.
I didn't read the
No,
cover.
keep reading it.
Was this a mistake?
This is my mistake. I was told it was sent and it wasn't. I think it was a mistake or not.
Just sounds like the town didn't submit.
Yeah, they didn't submit it. But they sure submitted it to the building. I want to know why that building is so more important than people's lives. Someone needs to explain it to me. I find it to say, Jerry, a previous administration. Oh, yeah. That's you, mister.
I just, I think they had talked about it.
Huh?
I think previously.
Hello.
About
That color is absolutely stunning on you. What is it? The color of the lipstick? The hair? You got some sun?
Maybe so.
I
Maybe
mean, you
this-
look tan.
Well, I
and
did go to California this week.
no, they're gonna.
I
Eddie,
mean, I put a bunch of sunscreen on because, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
but that must be it.
We'll do the work session down on the.
So you want to sit down there?
If you would please. You want to sit here? Keyboard. It's not going all over. Yeah. Make sure you have a chair.
Done by 8:30. Just see you, trustee. Never mind. Sorry. It's a little, have that conversation.
Eddie, I might need your expertise on this. Because you know these things don't like me.
Do we need one more chair?
No, we're okay.
Oh, no, yeah, we're good.
This is something else. Move it.
Nobody wants to sit next to you. Nobody wants to sit next to you. Yeah, there's a paper here too.
Just added the second one. Okay.
So this is for the, that's just what I added to my workshop.
Okay.
Yes.
Did I put my packet down and I didn't remember it?
Don't worry, it's been one of those days for me today too. So.
My air conditioner went out of my car 2 weeks ago, and then I had to drive back. I was in El Paso all
Gotta get a
day.
new car.
No, I want to retire. I want to buy a traveling RV, a little one that, I can drive it.
Just go to destinations.
Yeah.
That actually sounds amazing to do it.
I used to love camping. Miss our travel.
Oh.
I was just telling Russell, my air conditioner went out of my car 2 weeks ago. And then I was in El Paso all day for a career fair. And then I had to drive back
No, I know how to get it over
with
there.
no air. I didn't do that.
Right.
No, well, I think it's the actuary or something.
It goes down 40 miles per hour.
So where-
Let's see what the.
Obviously, you're feeling pretty chipper.
Sure, not chipper. I have to make myself chipper.
Such-
Terry's like, thank God, it gave me a break when I was sitting next to Veronica, drawing pictures, playing tic-tac-toe. Kicking it down.
All right, thank you for joining us today. Today is Monday, March 23rd. The time is now 6:02 in the evening. We are here at the Mesilla Town Hall for a work session before our regularly scheduled meeting. So with that, I will go ahead and call this work session to order. The first item on this, and the reason why I wanted to do a quick work session is because of and it's just for discussion, to facilitate discussion. In the last meeting that we had, there was some discussion about and direction that was given to staff for a couple of cases that would need to go for variance, some that were non-conforming, and then just some other clarification and direction needed for historic preservation in detail. So we'll start with the discussion of non-conforming cases and variances. And with that, I just want to, I'll turn it over to the team on this, but what I want to note that in this, the specific cases from from last meeting are not a discussion topic during this. It is only about the specifics. So, and clarification and direction, and really getting a clear direction from the Board of Trustees for future actions. And that way we have that. And then we'll take it from there. Sound good? All right. So with that, turn it over to the team.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Welcome, everybody, trustees, pro tem, public. I had a lot of questions when we had our last meeting, and we just want to be on the same page. We want to make sure that, first of all, we put Mesilla at our priority in serving our community and such. But it seems to be sometimes some difference of opinion or interpretation of the code, how it's written. And this one in particular, not just myself or Ms. Liana here, but also with our P&Z, with PSAT. And I want to make sure that we are following your direction, right? Most of everything. So just a couple of examples is the process of what to bring, push forward outside administratively and also through PSAT when the code is inconsistent, right? The signage, the last meeting we had a sign that it wasn't approved. And I take some blame on that because there were some sections of the code that I didn't reference when I was addressing or bringing it up to the board. But what requires a variance and what is not in the code that should be considered. And that's what I bring in here. And in my interpretation, a variance needs to show some kind of hardship, right? That is not self-inflicted or a hardship with the land. Maybe there's a wash or the shape of the property, not necessarily meaning the size of it because there is a requirement for that. But also when it's not mentioned in the code, how do you consider it, even if it's going to be a no or disapproved, but I feel it still needs to be considered. Again, even if it's a no, how do I bring that up to the board when there's no mention in our code, right? When I don't feel if there's anything in our code to be referenced. So there is a section in our code that I use, and we use it with the PSAC as well, and that's on 1815.080. Maybe would be so kind to bring that one up. And it says it is specifically, that's what it said. This is land use zones in the sense that it is not mentioned in our code, should be considered prohibited, right? Until there is a recommendation from the PSAT and forwarded to the Board of Trustees for approval. So again, that's just, I'll stand by here a little bit for any comments or questions, direction. And it's not mentioned in our code, and we already understand that our code and not mentioned because it does need work. It doesn't, or the applicant need to go through the extra process and the fees to be able to get a request done or considered that doesn't necessarily require. So again, I don't want to seem like this is something that I'm trying to push. Right? I'm just looking for direction. You tell me to do it one way or consider it this other way.
Can you repeat that code?
It is 18.15.80.
And Eddie, is that code? Because we don't have it in front of us. Is it? Oh, I can't see that. Yeah, that ain't happening. Is that strictly related to just overall generality, or is it specifically signs, or specifically land use?
Yes, the land use. If you look at our code, section Title 18 is called our comprehensive ordinance, or land use ordinance. When the PSAC reviews, considers cases that are brought up, the PSAC considers applications from 3 different titles: 15, 17, and 18. 18 is obviously comprehensive land use, like I mentioned, But each individual zone has its own section, right? Then this is permitted, not permitted. But if it's not listed in those sections, then there is a section that's called general provisions, which is 1860, that rules the whole title.
Right.
Just that title itself. So that is why I'm bringing up that if it doesn't say that it's permitted, it should be considered prohibited until it gets reviewed. And then once it gets reviewed, there is an outcome of it, then we should go back and amend, or at least propose amendment to continue that practice. The more and more people are asking for variances, and this is something New Mexico municipally always brings up, and there's always these kind of controversial cases, we need to work on our ordinances. That's why we're getting ourselves into. And whatever direction that is what we're looking for, that you all provide. I stand by this. Do you have anything to add to that? This particular, no. Okay. So, I guess my question, I'll start off. Does it require a variance if it's not mentioned in our code? And I think hardship, if you read our code, our variances, our code, there's specific things that it needs to meet in order for it to be considered to be a variance, which is the Board of Adjustment. And hardship of the land and not self-inflicted, and it doesn't cause us any harm or anything around the neighborhood. And no specific words, obviously. Those are 3 out of 4. I can't quite remember the last one. So it has to meet those requirements. In the last case particularly, I don't think it fits that category, and I don't think it should be approved through a variance process, or anybody on the Board of Adjustment should approve that because it's necessary. First thing they're going to say, where's the hardship? So do we never consider any applications request if it's not in their code? That's what I want to hear. That's what I want to understand. How do I move that forward? Is there a separate process, resolution, or something that we need to do when that happens? I don't know. Or do I just continue to bring it forward as I have it? That's the required for the variances A, B, C, and D.
If you look at D, I think that one really kind of draws out a question there. Is it a non-conforming use of neighboring lands or structures shall not be considered grounds for an issuance of variance? So it kind of negates some of the thought of sending it through a variance process or sending in any cases through that unless it explicitly meets those requirements. So unless the code is amended in the variance section in order to meet those requirements.
I feel, Mr. Mayor, I just feel that the requests or applicants are coming, they're more and more being common that it's not in our code. And again, I'm sitting there, if it's not allowed, if it specifically says prohibited, they don't make it any further than my office, and I don't have an issue with that. It's just the ones that look at it, well, maybe it's not really part of it, then it becomes like, I just like to be clear and be able to move forward with the sign in itself. You know, there's a lot of signs that we have in Mesilla that are has its own unique. I'm thinking, well, look at that one. And I'm looking at it. Well, how did that one get approved? How did that one get approved? Right? It's a case by case kind of thing. So again, it's okay. I'm not saying that should be a reason to approve any other ones. I'm just saying that at that particular time, whoever was making those decisions decided that happened because it wasn't.
You're saying if it's not prohibited, then doesn't need to go through a variance process. But again, when it's not prohibited, it's not cited as a prohibition in the ordinance. At the time of presentation to the Board of Trustees, could that be outlined that this doesn't fall within? Because I don't think that was clear.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I would be very open to consider it if it's made that way, that, you know, we researched this and this doesn't apply. So it's up to the Board of Trustees to make that final decision. Secondly, you mentioned if there is an abundance of variance requests, that means our ordinance needs to be amended, and why not do that if needed? When I was with planning and zoning, we didn't have that many variance requests coming through at all. So again, those are my comments about that. We need to know at the time of presentation, this you know, it's not prohibited. This not prohibited. It's up to the Board of Trustees to look at this individual permit request and deal with it on an individual matter. as an individual matter.
Correct, and I think approving or even considering the variance should be few far in between. I don't think it's something because hardship, self-inflicted, I mean, because it has some pretty strict requirements. And so, yeah, that's why we don't have very many variances. I don't want to have every request going, because then it loses its validity, right? So I would rather have it considered through the process and then amend the code or maybe detail it a little bit better afterwards. Anybody else?
I just think when we say the word case by case basis, that's scary to me because it's gonna bite us later on. We need to fix it, you know, because if we go case by case and then 2-3 years later, someone comes with the same problem and it's a complete whole different board, they're gonna go back in 19 whatever, it was approved and it was a case to case basis. And then that's where the whole lawyer lawsuits and everything else starts going. So we need to figure out what needs to be fixed and we need to fix it instead of going to a case-to-case basis. Like how many of these cases do you actually have? You know, resolutions, I mean, I'm discovering resolutions are not even, some of them are not even in the ordinance book. You know, so we need to simmer down on these resolutions and fix the ordinance in our book. You know, resolutions is just a temporary fix. It's not a permanent one. You know, because somebody else can come in and get rid of the resolution. Like we talked about one, you know, it wasn't in the book. You had to find it for me, blah, blah, blah. We found it. We found the resolution. You know, some people didn't know the ordinance on it. So we really got to stop these resolutions and start putting it into the book and make it, this is what's going to happen. Because that's going to also get us into trouble too. So I hear where you're coming from about what needs to be, what you need to prove, bring it to us. But then we're back to case-to-case basis. We need to stop that. Like, let us help you. Where do you want? You're coming to us for help. But you tell us, where do you want us to start? Like, seriously, where do you want us to start?
I think, Trustee Garcia, I think it's the same thing that Trustee Navarro just mentioned.
Right.
I think, you know, it should be brought to the board of trustees for consideration and not have it go through the various process. And then afterwards, how do you fix it is you amend the code afterwards on a case by case.
Not resolutions.
Well, you have to pass a resolution when the ordinance is amended.
Right, we can rewrite it, fix it, something.
The thing is to get the ordinance into at least the codified, it's a big process, right? And because we're so far behind, we keep going off changes after changes after changes. People are like, what's going on? We never used to do this. So now we're trying to cap up. So now we're trying, if you say one change, 1 amendment ordinance at a time, it's gonna take longer and it's gonna cost us a lot more if you just do it.
I thought at one point they were trying to find someone to look through our ordinance book.
I heard something like that, but who is going to determine what needs to be in there and what and not?
Because a lot of the chapters are conflicting with one another, and that's a huge problem that you're having. You know, chapter 18 says this, well, chapter 5 says this, chapter this and that. And I think that was the whole point of trying to get it fixed, was to stop that conflict with one another. You know, I think that's where we actually, honestly, is where we need to start, is have someone look at the ordinance book and stop trying to get it conflict with one another. You know, because we'll sit here and debate all day. Your ordinance says this, well, my chapter says this.
I think we should have a 2-tiered process. Those where when the permit comes in, we kind of work to wait until the ordinance amended. We need to deal with the one there. That's why I said you come before the board and explanation is done. But this should trigger a review. And that's the second part of the process, is for a long-term kind of solution to the issue.
Exactly.
In other words, we get to the first part, but the second part shouldn't be ignored. I mean, we really need to do that. And to predict what is going to come before the board is impossible. So we're going to have to deal this on a case-by-case basis.
I mean, I think case-by-case basis, to me, what I see in it is then people feel like you have approve something based on favoritism. I mean, that is something that we have to be aware of. So I think that's where the discomfort comes from, right? Is that you're only going, I mean, if it's, everything is considered on a case-to-case basis, but I don't think we do that. I think in general, we stick to the ordinances through the PNC and other things. I think we are very behind, but we talked it over when the previous administration was here and through this administration, and to fix the code. I mean, we're saying somebody needs to look through the code. Well, it's only the people in this room at this table that are gonna look at the code and approve it. And we looked at it, and I remember the previous mayor saying that it was gonna be like $80,000 just to update chapter 18. So we were going based on that, and we have made changes to the code. We did an STR code, we changed code in the last couple of years with the help of, community development staff and other people. So
Residents.
I think and residents, right, that have been on committees and, our telecommunications code, all that has been done. So we have made progress on that. I don't see it conflicting that much. Sometimes I think there's a difference of interpretation versus a difference of the actual code or opinion. I think we all are always going to the same goal, and that's to preserve Mesilla, right? The feeling, the land, the green belt, the historic, we've done that, and we combed over it through the comprehensive plan. So, I think that is what we're doing. But I agree with you. I think that the variance process is very specific to situations, and I think it's only should be used under that condition. And the reason that sometimes we question things that come ahead is because we do have non-conforming or non-compliant things in our different areas, right? Some of the things that are out there, like you said, are non-conforming. They got approved at some point in time. You can do research. You've done research in it, and there's nothing prior to 1978, right? Everything happened in 1978. So, a lot of state laws did get done in 1978, and our code a lot of it is based on those kinds of things, and that's a long time ago. But even our own research for the couple of things that we've made approvals or disapprovals of were based on not finding information and not finding approvals and things like that we've done here. But anyway, I appreciate this, and I think that discussion is what everybody has said so far. Wrapping your head around the differences between what we would use a variance case for and things that don't have to come to us. I think sometimes, I appreciate that when something doesn't fit the code, that it's going through a process. I think that's absolutely necessary. And I think it needs to come to us, even if it's something simple like a sign that administratively you could approve, but it didn't fit exactly what the code said, so you brought it to us. And we probably added more confusion to it, and that's what we're having this discussion, which I think is valid and valuable. So I appreciate that. And, it made us more aware of, there was something that was missing when it was presented to us last week. And that's okay. We can live with that. I think that in these cases, we're doing okay. I don't know that we're ready. I think for us to super update the code all at once is very expensive, very time consuming. It would be a commitment from all of us to do a lot more, because we're the ones that are going to decide what's in the code. A stranger, somebody can't come in and say, here's the flaws I see in the code. You know what I mean? Because we're the ones, we could form a committee to do that. I just think it'd be very arduous and very intense. And what Eddie had presented to us, Veronica, before you came on board again, is that we were going to do this. We were going to go through and change code as we saw fit. If we haven't amended the code because there's a resolution, then those are the kinds of things that we can fix, like right away. If we have a resolution and it didn't get worked into the code so far. or we can say this is gonna go in code, or have some sort of mechanism that we know that that resolution, we want it to be permanent, and so it's gonna go into code. But like you said, I mean, to get somebody to do it all at once, to go through combing through the code and figure out what, because it's an opinion, I mean, it should be an objective opinion, but it's hard to be objective with what our code looks like right now. Because we even we can read the same thing in our code and have a different interpretation. And I think that's what the staff is faced with sometimes, is you read the code and your interpretation is different from my interpretation.
Yes, and sorry, and as I mentioned, I mean, I would just love to be a little bit more clear, because whatever you want us to do, we'll do. It's just, it's hard to interpret sometimes. Does this even move forward, or does not? The sign is for example, we're not going to talk about the details.
Right.
But yeah, it's just like, does this person have to wait 3 weeks for approval, or can I do that here in my office? Right, you know, and as a case by case, even then, we just can't. It's hard to catch up, because it's almost seems like, hey, we got to change ordinance a little bit here, and another case we got to change this one here, you know, and then it takes 2-3 weeks to get one, you know, for the notices and the publishing and all that stuff, and it just takes a long time. And I don't want the public or the community, or even, you know, especially the governing board, to feel that I'm pushing all these things through because I want them to get it. I just want an interpretation. And even if it's a no, we're not going to do that, then we'll add that and we'll put that in our code as well, right? It's just so we can catch up on all of these requests that are unique. I'm just getting a lot more unique requests. I'm like, okay, let's hopefully I can push them through, so the board and the PSAC and the board can consider it to see what direction you want to do. So again, just because I bring it up, it doesn't mean that I just want an interpretation.
I think it helped the last time we had a committee that would see the cases before. And we had, I think it was the fire chief, someone from the fire department, yourself, the board, the public works, the one from the board, I think, and one from planning and zoning. And we saw the cases and we questioned everything, you know, what, blah, blah, blah. And it seemed to help. You know, and if they were missing something, we sent it back. You know, what you're doing already. But I think where you're conflicting, if it's should pass or not pass, and you're not too sure, and then you're already feeling bad because the person already paid for their fees to get on it, and you don't want to hold it. I mean, I just think maybe cases like that, we should have a small committee to help you, or you know what, we need to bring this ordinance to the board to get it fixed, or not to be fixed, or something, just to help you out to get it to go through. But we also don't want them to wait 3-4 months, you know, because then we're hurting them, especially on businesses wise, we're hurting them instead of helping them. And we need to help them.
You know, I think that's a great idea. When we were doing it before, it's just adding another meeting to my agenda, right? And what we're actually doing something very similar to that. And we email with all the electronic technology nowadays. You know, CID, fire, public works, myself, sometimes Diana. And if there's a trustee that wants to be included in that email, you know, with the direction of the mayor, we can do that. Or however, it needs help to get it here and get it processed, so that we can move forward. It's just whoever, again. But yeah, I think that worked very well. It just, I had to do copies for them, then I had to do another agenda for another meeting. That's just adding another meeting and deadline to my work load. It's a little overwhelming.
How can we stop you from getting overwhelmed with all this? Like, how often does the request come in that's you're kind of like, debating it?
You know, sometimes it takes a day or two. Other times it might take a week or two. I mean, it depends. Sometimes they come one after another. I had like 3 of them today. I'm like, oh, that's gonna be fun. You know what I mean? So that's because back in my mind, I mean, how am I going to process it? I would just love, again, just bring them up. This is what they want, especially when they want to buy some property and they don't want the commitment, you know, but you know, they want to know, can I do this here? Well, I can only advise you, but I don't get have a final answer. It'd be best if we bring it to the PSAC or the board of trustees. Because even if sometimes, many times, the PSAC has recommend it, and DOT doesn't, recommend it. So that itself there, if PSAC tells them, yes, you can do it, and go ahead and invest their time, money, or anything like that, and it makes it to the board of trustees, there's a difference in the opinion, that's what's hard. And I always tell them, I'll wait for that resolution, right? Because if you want to, risk losing your money or not being able to buy the property because somebody's going to beat you to it, that's on you. That's not something I can help you with. But it's just, again, just being on the same page. That's it. And not feel like I'm trying to push some type of destroy Mesilla, because I really don't. I mean, I love Mesilla. I really want to preserve it, but I do feel a lot of these people do have some legit requests that we should consider.
I guess the question, because if it's not prohibited in the ordinance and it's outside the historic zone, let's say in this case, it was outside the historic zone, but you brought it to the board of trustees. Is it, I'm just throwing this out, is there a mechanism for an administrative review?
Yes.
In cases that it's outside the historic zone of the CIA?
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah, we do have that. It's DAD, New Mexico DOT, EBID, environmental, all these are all part of the review committee if necessary. Sometimes even the town attorney and the town engineer. So, if it's outside of the historic and commercial, we do add those on there depending on the necessity. As mentioned, this one here is in the residential zone. We'll talk about that, but it's something that could have been administrative approved, but I thought, this is just different, and to amend our ordinance moving forward so we don't have to come up with the same thing.
Especially if there was a comment that there was already a sign there at one point.
Yeah. And I still think there was, but acknowledge
I
that.
think there was.
There was.
We'll talk about that one on the agenda.
And that's all I have basically so it feels it's bring them to the board, to PSAC, and then we can amend. That's the plan for now. Do that.
Like literally the next meeting. No, like literally like the next meeting.
And then another part of it that Deanna's going to be a little bit more specific on that is our comprehensive plan we just did. What direction do you want to give us when it comes to preserving the green belt, the buildings, the structures, the landmark, the zones, all these things, because every day it's just those types of decisions. If you're being proactive, then a lot of times you don't have to be controversial, right? It's like the code. It's like, hey, I brought a couple of times shipping containers. For the longest time, as past practices, Mesilla does not allow shipping containers within Mesilla. But I brought it, where does it say that? It doesn't say, right? So if you want to be proactive, I think we need to get some direction and say, hey, I just saw something happen outside or another municipality, even on TV or on social media. Let's look at small houses. We don't have a minimum small house. Somebody can have tiny homes in the city. Again, it's just so many things. So the direction is with preservation comes to, we like to preserve our buildings and we want to preserve the green belt, but just need direction where you want us to start. Maybe it's certain places you go, hey, let's concentrate first over here, or these types of buildings first, or maybe on the historic zone first, then you work on it, move on. Anything that direction we can pursue that direction. I'll give it to them.
Yeah. Good evening, trustees. Good evening, residents. So yes, good evening. Just to thank you for the perfect segue, because that's really when I have preservation in mind. That's what I'm thinking is proactive. Preservation is pre. You want to do it before, and we want to. It goes along with prevention. You have to kind of take these necessary steps before it's too late. We have this treasure trove of historic properties here, which a lot of in their core, are really protected. So we want, what I think of when I think of preservation is how can we move forward? How can we look forward, and how can we expand our preservation catalog, really, because it's what's near and dear to our town. And it's really what sets the standard for us here. You know, we are a historic town, and it's known. So with that in mind, let's see, I had and I know this is new. There's a lot of challenges that are coming along with this, but what comes to mind is, how can I help you, or how can we help each other? Exactly, the same. How can we educate each other as to what it is that is desired by the town of Mesilla, and how can we move forward with preservation to preserve our buildings that are in danger? If we don't take care of them, if we're not preventative in doing so, it's a matter of time, and time is just kind of flying by, with us here. So I know we had my initial presentation on historic preservation last time we all met. And I was just wondering, I just want to start out wondering, were there any questions about that initial preservation? Has anything kind of come up between now and then that, something you may have thought about, or any questions you might have from that presentation?
Yeah, I thought it was very thorough, and I appreciated you providing all the materials, because I think, you did have to look through it and kind of let it sink in and so forth. And I think, I think that's what everybody in town wants, right? And we learned that through the comprehensive plan, and we learned as people come in and saying that's what they like about Mesilla, is that we have done attempted historic preservation. But I've also heard from people that said, I wish I knew, or I wish I would have saved something, or I wish I wouldn't have changed it so that it's no longer historic, right? Or can't be really considered historic, or whatever. So, I think this is the direction that we want to go, and we need somebody that's, dedicated to doing it. Because otherwise it doesn't get done, right? Otherwise it's not going to happen. And the buildings and the properties will deteriorate.
Yeah, and it's, we see a lot of, there's some examples, and something Mayor and we were discussing is, something as such a silo. There was a silo by Union, and it's no longer there. When that tells a story of our agricultural history and who Mesilla is, who we are, that's who we were built upon. And so the plaza tells another story, which is wonderful, but it intersects at some point. So you want to kind of keep this, that it's a wider scope. And in addition to that, it's an asset on so many levels. Not only for us as residents of the town and people and who want to uphold, and our families who have been here for years, they are part of that story also. So we want to hold on to that. But just to go through, I know I gave you some documents here, and I just, because one question, and I know it's a difficult kind of grasp, is for the no consent on historic preservation. According to, and I believe, I was asked also to see if it goes hand in hand with the New Mexico League of Zoning Officials, and that's not something that I was in contact with the immediate past president of the New Mexico League of Zoning Officials, and his name is Adam Ochoa, and I asked him, I said, just if you could help me, just guide me and to state, hey, does this fall under municipal code? What they do is they just support the code, and they help us enforce our code and offer guidance. And what they'll do, they'll sometimes hold workshops, but they, as an entity, they don't hold, they don't decide whether it's consent or not consent. What they do is they support, and they've come across these issues, and they also hold workshops or something as such. So that's what but he referred me, and which I was kind of alluding to, is a lot of that goes towards the historic preservation division, which is also SHPO, which is State Historic Preservation Officer, and they provide the guidance for historic preservation. And according to that code, because I've read it multiple times, besides the CLG, the Certified Local Government Manual, where it states no consent or consent is an option. the other enforcing code is our Historic Districts and Landmarks Act that was adopted via the preservation law and to the state of New Mexico. So that is our governing power, and you'll see that in there, that really it says to any ultimate, it says with as full and complete powers to preserve. And that would fall under the no consent form here. So that's just to kind of touch on, and then I also referred to, I was reading through some other CLGs, and you don't have to be a CLG to nominate or to offer consent or no consent, but I visited the town of the city of Las Vegas, and they have an amazing preservation program happening there, and it's a smaller space. So I was like, maybe it was more kind of more relatable. What they are kind of alluding to here is, I'll just read their purpose of their ordinance is to promote as a matter of public policy the preservation, protection, and enhancement of the Las Vegas cultural historic districts and landmarks. And by landmarks, those are those individually standing historic structures. And I know the term landmark can sometimes be misconstrued as a huge area or a collective space with a lot of intertwining businesses. But this, when landmark in this sense, and even according alongside the Historic Preservation Division, it's a singular. It can be a singular structure because it stands alone, hence a landmark. And so these properties or sites which may be designated after is of public necessity and is required in the interest of prosperity, civic pride, and general welfare of the people. So that's just to give the purpose of of Las Vegas. But then we have our portion of the code, which is a little on the longer side, but it just hits on a lot of points of what it is that we're looking at. So when we're placing these votes on historic preservation, what we're deciding and what we're voting on is if the property is in fact historic or not, if it meets the guideline criteria or not. And that's what I had posted up on the, which is the integrity and significance of a property. Does it have special architectural features that are unique? Is it made of a specific architectural material that is no longer, that once tells the story of our past and history and our time? Is a significant people that lived and existed within the space. So this is the criteria that when a vote is being made, this is what we're looking at. When we're actually voting on this section here. And in addition to, alongside, which is, this stands more clear when there's a no consent involved in that. And it's very common. Las Vegas is also a no consent municipality as well. It doesn't state it, this does not say no consent, but it says your property will be designated as a historic landmark. You have the possibility to appeal, but that's just to appeal whether it's historic or not. So that's the criteria that we're looking at here. Sorry.
I'm sure you were finished, but I had a question.
No, please.
This is a new process. This is a new process for the residents of Mesilla. I'm just asking the question, did we do an adequate job of informing and preparing the residents in Mesilla that this is coming and this could have these implications and certain properties?
Well, I know we've held some workshops with the planning and zoning as far as a complete meeting, like outside of this town hall, we have not.
Because given such an importance of an ordinance like this, that we would have informed our residents through a newsletter, a notice, because it's an important issue, and there's a lot of potentially historic structures within. There was one near the plaza. It was a cellar, and it was covered over. And I was proposing that it be recognized back then, because it's unique. And cellars, I don't think were very common. I don't think so anyway. But anyway, but the question is, did we do an adequate job in informing the residents? And this is what's going to come is the effective date, and this is what you're, what is expected, including the no consent and all this type of situation. I mean, I'm just posing that question.
No, absolutely. And so I had just recently mentioned to Mr. Mayor that we have our preservation month. It's which is May, to make a proclamation. And this was when I was, I wanted to kind of throw this out and see and kind of feel it out with the turnout of the residents and with the planning and zoning and with the board of trustees. And then when this proclamation came, my intent was to have a meeting in May, which is to address the public. And maybe it's a little delayed, but I think I was also just kind of maybe feeling it out. But I think a preemptive discussion probably would have been best.
It would have been very helpful.
And a little bit more explanatory for clarity.
It was actually an event about preservation, what the Messiah Days, what's it called?
Yes, so we have the Frontier Fair, which was in kind of with preservation in mind, to kind of begin to think about the history of the town and what that involved and what the general feeling was and what it was like here in Messiah in the 1800s when we were just becoming a town. And this all was with intent to get preservation kind of going. I have done some preservation tabling at, at Cinco de Mayo, 16 de Septiembre. I've really been trying to get some word out and just explaining and asking, beginning a conversation, but not one in depth, as you're stating.
And actually saying, this is our ordinance, this is what, the expectations. But I don't know.
I mean, I think it's a great idea, but as we have learned, being in government, is it sometimes, people get involved when they're personally affected by it, and there's not a lot of participation. Sometimes we have 2 or 3 people here at the meeting or at any meetings, town meetings that we have. But I think it's worth getting the word out as much as possible, getting the ordinance. I think that's a great idea for Frontier Days and Preservation Days, and certainly we should help you with that so that we are all on the same page. Especially, but I think there's just no. It's a big deal, and I think we've done it in our ordinances. The thing is that has been our mantra, is historic preservation, right? That is Town of Messiah's mantra, historic preservation. Everybody that campaigns for office, historic preservation, right? Everybody that says the reason they love Messiah is because we've done a good job of preserving the feel of the town, the look of the town, and we still, and what always comes up is the greenbelt, right? And we have had situations where we've lost part of the greenbelt.
And strengthening our historic preservation and being able to have the same foresight, it helps us. It helps us have a consideration with some of the other agencies that come in and want to, for instance, put up a fence or wants to put up a electrical panels in front of a building, and we've amended our historic preservation ordinance so that the agencies have to come through us, even though they don't have to in a sense, but it through the state statute, it shows that they have to have a communication with the town before any type of construction, because we are historic and the state gives us that authority to say, hey, we have a say in how you build it. Not just a simple modern, fence or electrical panel, no screening, those types of things. Right. So I think that that's what we're trying to do, is strengthen our preservation, so we continue to have that's beautiful, and it's always has been. I remember as a kid, but if not, help preserve. In preservation, there's actually 4 stages. There's renovation, preservation, restoration. So some of these things, we all talk about signs, right? We also, some of these signage that have been for a long time, we can build them back up to how they used to look, off of pictures and stories, and put a nomination on that, right? To kind of help keep some of those memories that everybody used to think of growing up, right? So anyway, go ahead. I apologize.
No, thank you. Well, a part of that is also, I know there's some hesitancy towards change because we want to preserve what it is, and preservation is more of a guided kind of change, where we're able, and it also helps with land use, it also helps to kind of guide how we see Messiah in the future and how we want it, what we want the outcome of Messiah to be 15 years down the line. And that's really where I'm thinking is, what is this, what will we look like 15 years down the line, especially in our agricultural area. I mean, I feel like our core is pretty safe, but we have been talking a lot about cell towers, we've been talking a lot about corridors, and so how can we begin to, once again, become a little bit more proactive in this? That is one thing. So when I was first getting my feet wet here, it was when we were putting together the comprehensive plan, and I heard, I never even knew the word green belt was being tossed around here in Messiah, but that's all I heard. A lot of that. I heard a lot of preservation and green belt. Then we had this really wonderful workshop here where Mr. Rader bought some donuts and some coffee, and we had everyone write on Post-it notes of what they want, and it just screamed preservation and green belt. And so this is what I was working towards. And so I'm also coming to you for guidance and say, please, how do we want for Messiah to look at 15 years? And what do we want to preserve? What is our goals? And how should we work forward for the benefit of the town and the memory and the legacy of the history of what we have here? So something really that I've been thinking about. So
People don't mind change. And I learned this the hard way. People don't mind change, as long as we explain the change. And that's where we come as a board, is that we advertise when we're having some kind of changes before we happen. We post it, we go door to door, not just on election. Because some people don't read their utility bill. I don't. I'm one of them. Some of them don't have post office to go to Messiah to get mail. That's where we as a board need to go to residents. Any changes, I think we need to get the residents involved. Not just, yes, we're elected for this, but we also need their opinion too. I mean, is it gonna get fixed overnight? No, but at least we have something to feedback on and then try to combine it together like you guys were doing in the comprehensive plan. But we just need to get it out there more and let the residents come in and give us their opinions on it. Let them talk, let them, even if we have to, I know we're all trying to go to this technology stuff, but there's still a lot of residents here that don't have technology. I'll be the first one to admit, my dad has a flip phone for the love of God, he doesn't even check his own voicemails. I'll be the first one to say it. But we do have a lot of elderly residents that don't know about this, that we need to bring them to come out. They're the ones that are gonna remember what it looked like, whatever we wanted to preserve. But we got to get them out. And how do we get them out? We got to go to them. We got to get them out, come in, get their opinions, see what kind of changes they want. Leave it alone. Okay, well, building's about to fall. Then it's not going to be there anymore. If there's a problem, there's a solution. Sometimes the solution just can't be fixed with the trustees or the mayor or even with yourself. We have to get the feedback from the residents. We need it. So change. Yeah, they're very tough about changes. But once we talk to them, it's a complete open the door. So.
The residents and property owners can make informed decisions.
Exactly.
That's the important part. You cannot surprise them.
Right.
There's a distinction that I would like to make. So it goes along with what Trustee Garcia said.
Yeah. No, and I hope, I am new to this town, what's happening, and I would hope, we post our meetings. We know there's meetings, we have these discussions, and I'm always doing, I don't go door to door, I have yet to go to door, but I do really engage with a lot of the residents, which was what my goal in these fiestas and Cinco de Mayo, and even outside of that, everybody, today I had many meetings. I had 2 meetings with some locals because I know I want to do community outreach. I know I can't do it without it. which is another purpose of me doing that newsletter, was how can I start to reach people and get these words out, because I can't do it alone.
You can't, that's where we come in as a board.
Yes.
And you're asking us to help, we should be able to back you up and go door to door. If it's one day, if it's 1 hour, if it's 15 minutes, or if it's 2 days. That's where we come in, not just during election time. Because that's what I get a lot from residents. You guys want to come during election time? No, I'm keeping my word, I go door to door.
One of the things that help us is with this matter is that we get a lot of traffic in community development. We get a lot of traffic. And one of the things that started to kind of spark my interest even more is almost every single one's got a story.
Yeah.
And they're so cool. You know what I mean? My dad, this and this, and it's just awesome. And I'm like, go see Miss Gannon over here next door. You need to talk to her, right? And start writing these down. And start doing those. So she does meet a lot of, school lunch, recent places and stuff like that. But yeah, we do get a lot of traffic. But I do think it might, residents might like, as far as some people I would be visited at home, but I mean, you know who they are, you know your Messia, and if a door works, then if we need, we need to come in and go with you, whatever, do like the trash pickup, maybe we'll do the, that's one of the things we did last time with the businesses, right? Maybe we'll do something like that.
Yeah, and something the mayor was just mentioning is a mailing, that we will have a mailing that will go to each home individually. So that way we can begin to, it was alongside another project, but.
There's 2 other projects that we included with that.
Yes, 2 other projects of me. And that was the first thing I asked, is how can we get my newsletter or just even a notice on what preservation is to every household. But we spoke with the post office, and they were trying to, work something out, and then it just kind of fell wayward. So I 100% agree. I feel, like I said, I cannot do it without any of you, any of the residents. I wouldn't want to do it alone, because then it wouldn't make sense for me to do that. So that's one thing that, so with that in mind, and I agree 100%, but how do we see preservation? With that said, how also do we see preservation, and how can we work together to move forward with preservation?
Good question. Do that for everything you do we need anything else?
No.
So thank you, trustees. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's leave this in. Well, can't leave it, I guess. Should I stand here? Might be fun.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
All right, everybody, continuing on with our regularly scheduled meeting. Today is Monday, March 23rd. The time is now 7 in the evening. We are here at the Mesilla Town Hall for our regularly scheduled Board of Trustees meeting. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll please stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next order of business is roll call and determination of a quorum. Gloria, if you would, please. Present.
Here.
Present.
Thank you very much. We do have a quorum, as it was noted. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Trustee Nevada, seconded by Trustee Cadena. Unless there's objection or discussion, the motion will carry as it's been presented. Thank you very much for approval of the agenda as it has been presented. Next item on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda that does include the BOT meeting minutes for the March 9th, 2026 meeting.
So moved. Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Trustee Garcia. And there again, unless there is objection or discussion, the motion will carry as it has been presented. Thank you very much for approval of the consent agenda that does include the BOT meeting minutes for our March 9th meeting. Next item on the agenda is item 7A, presentation of a proclamation for National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. Mr. Marshall. Well, why don't you come up and introduce your guests, if you would, please, sir.
So, well, she can explain. The telecommuters coming up April 12th through the 18th. It recognizes dispatch, which plays a vital role in public safety on the police side, fire side, and any emergency. So I'll turn it over to Director Gorham. He's with MRVDA, Mesilla Valley Regional Dispatch.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Mayor. My name is Jennifer Gorham. I'm the Executive Director of Mesilla Valley Regional Dispatch Authority. Next to me is Corey Murphy, our Acting Deputy Director. So first off, I have just a short little thing to read as an appreciation. So on behalf of MRVDA, I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to the Board of Trustees for proclaiming the week of April 13th through April 18th, 2026 as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. This recognition means a great deal to the men and women who serve behind the scenes as public safety telecommunicators. While our work is often unseen, it is always essential. Every call we answer represents someone in need, someone relying on a calm voice, quick thinking, and coordinated action during what may be one of the most critical moments of their lives. In 2025 alone, MRVDA handled over 400,000 phone calls, and resulting in more than 305,000 calls for service. Each of those calls required focus, professionalism, and a deep commitment to public safety. These numbers reflect not only the volume of work, but the trust our community places in us each and every single day. We are especially proud of the strong and productive partnerships we have built with Mesilla Marshal's Office and the Mesilla Fire Department. Through our collaboration, communication, and mutual respect, we have been able to provide efficient and effective emergency response services to the residents of Mesilla. Recognition from our partner agencies and our municipalities, both during this special week and throughout the year, mean a great deal to our team. As the first voice a caller hears in an emergency, our telecommunicators are truly the hidden first responders. While we are not always visible, In the public safety success stories that you may hear, our team provides life-saving guidance and support every single day, helping ensure the best possible outcomes before first responders even arrive on scene. As we look ahead, we remain committed to strengthening these partnerships and continuing to provide the highest level of public safety service to both Mesilla and all of Doñana County. Thank you again to the Board of Trustees for this meaningful recognition and for your continued support of public safety telecommunicators. It is truly an honor to serve this community, and thank you for your ongoing and continued support. So I just have to say is that, we do have a very small but mighty team that is growing. As you have noticed, we have several big projects that are taking place right now, thanks to our communities. One is a big remodel of our building. We've been fortunate to have been in our building for 10 years, but there's a time to revamp the center so that we can incorporate new technologies, work on building culture growth within the organization and expanding our team. So we're really grateful for that. I also am very excited in the next year to be able to roll out, as I said, some new technologies that are going to be able to enhance the services that we're providing to our residents. And so if you are not already, to all of the residents, make sure that you like us on social media and follow our website. We did do a governmental change this year, and so we are now mvrda911.gov. That provides an opportunity for you to request non-emergency services online, so you don't have to wait for someone to answer the phone, which we are actively working on. But it does provide another opportunity for you. We are also actively working on providing new data points to our community, so you'll be able to log on every month and see the number of calls that we're handling, the type of calls that we're handling, so you can have an idea of what's taking place in your community. And so I highly encourage you to do that. If you notice, if you're on our social media today, we had 5 new individuals that started with our team, which we are grateful for, which once again will provide a better service for our call handling. So thank you again for honoring us.
I want to say that Las Cruces in the mid-90s. The office, the facility was located on Loman.
Yes.
So we small little.
That's very interesting. So that was a 5,000 square foot building that we actually shared space with for many years. And 10 years ago, the residents of Doñana County were able to provide us funding so that we could move into a new facility. And our dispatch floor alone is larger than what that building was. And so with that, we can accommodate up to 18 individuals working at a time on that floor, and still provide other services in the auxiliary. So for those that don't know, not only do we provide dispatch services, but we are also going to be the warrant holder for the county and those individuals. We also provide records requests, so we follow all state requirements for IPRA and inspection of public records. We also administer the false alarm ordinance for the city of Las Cruces. And then what else do we do? Just everything under the sun. We provide GIS, so graphic information system services for the county, quality assurance. We did this last year, roll out some new protocols for emergency medical dispatch and how we're working with our fire departments and our EMS services. So we have a lot going on in our location, and everybody wears multiple hats. So and I think that's it. Thank you.
And with that, all. Yeah, and with that, I'll read the proclamation as it stands. A proclamation declaring April 12th through the 18th, 2026 as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. Whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our police officers, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who telephone the Mesilla Valley Regional Dispatch Authority Communications Center. And whereas professional public safety telecommunicators are a vital link between citizens and victims and are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers, firefighters, and emergency medical personnel by monitoring their activities by radio, providing them information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators of the Mesilla Valley Regional Dispatch Authority are the first responders who contributed substantially as part of the public safety community. And whereas each dispatcher and call taker has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year. Now therefore it be proclaimed by the town of Mesilla Mayor and Board of Trustees the week of April 12th through the 18th, 2026 to be National Public Safety Telecommunications Week in honor of the men and women whose diligence and professionalism keep our communities and citizens safe. Thank you. Thank you again. Absolutely amazing. We do have another proclamation here, and that will be in here. It is a proclamation for celebrating 50 years of the Mesilla Elementary School at its current location. The principal, Miss Amanda Castillo, had reached out asking if we would write a proclamation for a celebration that they are planning. She sent me the details of that celebration. It is going to be on this coming Friday from 5:30 to 7:30 there at the elementary school. They are planning on having a, let's see, what'd she say? They're having a DJ, hot dogs, nachos, queso Cheetos, and waters. So it sounds like a great celebration all the way. But it is an open community event. So if you are able to attend, we will read the proclamation at the event as well. But I wanted to make sure that it was read here. That way everybody knows that part there. All right. So with that, celebrating 50 years of Mesilla Elementary School in its present location. And I want to note, it's in its present location because Mesilla Elementary has been around for quite a bit longer than 50 years. So, whereas Mesilla Elementary School has served as a cornerstone of education, community, and cultural heritage in the town of Mesilla for generations, and whereas for the past 50 years in its present location, Mesilla Elementary School has provided a nurturing and inspiring environment where students have grown academically, socially, and personally. And whereas the school has played a vital role in shaping the lives of countless students, many of whom have gone on to become leaders, business owners, educators, and public servants within our community and beyond. And whereas Mesilla Elementary School reflects the rich history, traditions, and cultural values that define Mesilla, fostering a strong sense of identity, pride, and belonging among its students and families. And whereas the dedication of teachers, administrators, staff, and families, past and present, has created a legacy of excellence, resilience, and commitment to education that continues to impact future generations. And whereas the school has remained a gathering place for community events, celebrations, and shared experiences, strengthening the bonds that unite the residents of Mesilla. And whereas the 50-year milestone provides an opportunity to honor the school's enduring contributions and celebrate the generations of students, families, and educators who have made Mesilla Elementary School a treasured institution. Now therefore, be it proclaimed as that the mayor and the board of trustees of the town of Mesilla hereby recognize and celebrate the 50th anniversary of Mesilla Elementary School in its present location and extend their deepest appreciation to all that have contributed to its success and legacy. Be it further proclaimed that the town encourages all residents to join in celebrating this milestone and to continue supporting the educational excellence and community spirit that Mesilla Elementary represents. And that will be issued on the 27th by the mayor and any members of the board that are present. So that is that. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, item 8, staff updates and comments. So it's a little switch on the agenda from what we're used to, so that way we can hear staff updates. So we'll start with the Marshal's Department.
Good evening, Mayor and trustees. I don't have much. 5K on Saturday morning. It shouldn't be too big. It's the second annual or third annual Amador Health one. Last couple of years it has been too big, so hopefully it doesn't mess with traffic. And then ACO codes, Officer Ramirez started today. He's getting FTO'd by Lieutenant Diaz, and then he'll do some ride-alongs on graveyards. And then I'm waiting to hear back from either county or city ACO to get him on there. And then another organization offered to sponsor him for ACO training level 1 and 2. So I need to reach out to them and then look into that and see if we can get them sent there. No major issues on spring break, no major issues on St. Patrick's Day. And I'll stand for any questions or concerns.
Is there a deadline for that to register them?
No, the organization just said when you're ready to send them, reach out to them and they'll sponsor them. So. You're welcome.
It's nice.
Thank you.
I'll see you Friday.
Yeah.
Chief.
Mayor and board, we also don't have a whole lot of things to talk about. This coming week, we're going to be supporting county while they're having their line of duty funeral services for firefighter Rafael Herrera. So we've offered to fill in for them so that they can attend. Should have that figured out within the next day. And other than that, we have people in training as always, and stand for any questions.
Just the fireworks stands. You're gonna.
I'm not responsible for taking over for chasing them for that. I'm still waiting for that to get put into the code. So that code amendment for the fireworks thing has to get put into the code for it to be enforceable.
I'll follow up on
Would you please? Because right now, if we did buy the code, they're
that.
they're not invalid. Yeah.
Right. And I have a note to follow up on that, so
Okay.
already, especially from the work session, because there's several ordinances that have not been codified yet.
That goes back to the conversation you had earlier about having to redo all of the codes.
Correct. Most definitely.
Anything
That's a
else?
lot of money. That's going
No.
to your 18 grams a lot. For a
I know.
small town, it is.
I know, but if my department depends on $18,000 to function, we're probably not managing our funds very well. But I understand, and it's just I can't enforce it without it getting into the code.
Yeah.
So,
We get it fixed. Get it going.
anything else? Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Astorga, Public Works.
Mayor, Board of Trustees, I just have a couple of things myself also too. Veterans Park is complete. We went ahead and the gate has been repainted, the wall's been repainted, so that little project there is complete. We're still waiting on the order on the light to get the light fixture up, and the rest of the light, the 3 lights that go with it, and the fountain also to get kind of all put in place. We will be revisiting Calle del Norte. The EBID did ask us to go back and revisit that due to the height of the wall there. So here within the next couple of weeks, you'll see we're waiting on the engineering part of it to come back, and the planning to see move forward on that, and I'll bring back a little bit more information on that when that occurs. We are going to be getting ready. We are ready, getting water ready, getting the stuff ready for this weekend's community garden deal, so that here at the end of the week we'll be ready for that also too. We'll also be installing the new water fountains here within this next week at the park, so that way those will be in also too. That's going to come part with what we got planned coming up within the next month or so, and the dedications. University. We did address a lot of the concerns that were brought to us here. Myself and Eddie were one of them that went to go visit that site about the fence. I know I got plenty of phone calls last week, and we did put that to a halt. Myself and Eddie spoke to the project manager and let him know about some stuff, ordinances and stuff that needed to go on before anything else goes through. So we're just waiting to hear on them and bring you back some answers also on that. And with that, I stand for any questions, concerns.
So the chain link fence is completely stopped at this moment.
It's stopped at this point, yes, sir.
Okay. Other question I had on the university project is there a time frame or a time frame for the reinstallation of the traffic lights on the corner?
I know that I spoke with Nicholas on Friday because he's not here today, but they are, as we speak, are putting them up over there already on South Main. The part of those lights are already going up, but they also have started today. I don't know if I know a lot of us don't pass through there, but they have started putting together the lights already. So he said hopefully within the next 2 weeks, they shall be up and running.
Thank you.
First of all, thank you for stopping. I know my phone was blowing up. I don't know about everybody else's, but I really appreciate you and Eddie jumping on and getting. Do you know what kind of lights they're going to put on University? Is it best to have another meeting with the residents to update them on what's going on and bring DOT in and everybody again and bring the community in so they can give them an update? Because obviously they're not informing you with what's going on. They're just kind of doing whatever they want to do is what it sounds like.
Right.
And that's not fair to you that, you're getting bombarded and we don't,
Yeah, and I know that we have brought up already a couple of concerns already. So, it's just things that,
Would you want one? Like, we can ask the mayor to set up a meeting.
So Lorenzo's in contact with the project manager constantly, and I'm in contact with the district engineer constantly, asking questions and trying to get the answers and follow-ups on everything. So, and that does include the lights because that has been a concern. It does include the fencing because that has been a concern. The color of concrete, the speed limits, there's multiple questions that have been asked on that that we are following up on. And we will ensure that regardless of anything, is that we are on or involved in the punch before the project is completely done to make that sure that everything adheres to our codes as they are.
Well, what I'm saying is, should we have a meeting with the public and bringing them involved and telling them where we're at, what's happening, and what they're going to be? Because they should almost be finishing up, right? Wrapping up?
They're months away.
Yeah. That's what I'm asking. We think we should have a meeting where the board and the public with the DOT coming in. And that way we can get the opportunity to, DOT can tell them what's going on and the whole board can hear what's going on.
Yeah. We can try to set that up.
If that's what you would like, we can definitely work on that.
We can set that up definitely, Trustee Garcia.
Thank you.
Anything else? Nope. Thank you, sir. Community development. Mr. Salazar.
Good evening again, trustees, mayor. Like the other department here, that really don't have a whole lot other than the same projects we've been working on for some time. One of the things is I'm glad the business license renewal process in that time it's over, but we still have some businesses that haven't yet paid. It is pending. They understood. I mailed the revision or the amendments of the ordinance we did last year regarding to late fees and your accounts being closed. If after 90 days we don't hear from you. And what that the reason why that's important is because it's more of your budget control. Because there was a lot of businesses that don't call and say, "Hey, I'm not doing business with Mesilla anymore. Thank you for whatever, and then please close my account." And the majority of them don't do that. They just pick up things they don't think have. So over the years, they just continue to accumulate fees and fees and fees, late fees. And then, whenever somebody looks at it, now we're $60,000 in debt or in the hole, or we haven't resolved. So it's still a work in progress. It's still not 100%. There are a lot of the addresses in the system that are not current. Some of those envelopes came back, couldn't find user, blah, blah, blah. So I opened them all up and I called every single one of them, right? I told them on the phone, a reminder, update your addresses. And then we're all also working on that as well. So the report system that Encode accumulates is not very detailed, very vague. And so whenever you try to pull a report, say for instance, last year's short-term rentals, which one I want to bring up the next meeting, this is almost a year ago, actually a little bit longer than a year ago, that we passed that ordinance for short-term rentals that we talked about. We need to review within a year, see where we're at, see if we make any more changes. So that's coming to the next meeting. So just for example, I was doing that today, and I wanted to get it done for this meeting, but you just get a lot of inconsistent information. So I'm trying to narrow that down. I've been calling the tech and to make sure that the information that we bring to you all is correct. And it's not, one day you say one thing and then this is so. Anywho, also we're working on again the record management, Square 9, iWorks, all these in the system. The website, we're still trying to update that, get a historic preservation tab on there, and so forth and so forth. So we. The Mexico DOT, we did, like Lorenzo mentioned, a little bit more on that. When the project came together, I don't know what year that was, right? So I imagine maybe some of you were here when that happened, when some of those meetings, but I wasn't here, and a lot of us weren't. So don't know what was explained. I don't know if there's any minutes. If I can get a direction of what time that happened, maybe there's some minutes there. We can go through them and kind of help me put together something to where we can. When we do talk to them, maybe push back a little bit as far as when it comes to the choices of structure or infrastructure. That area, the university, is not historic, right? So it'll be a little bit harder to say, no, you can't do that, no, you can. If it was nominated as a corridor, as we've talked before, maybe it could have been something a little bit more, but it'll be difficult, but hopefully, I know on our code, like I mentioned, our historic preservation, we did pass not too long ago that the agencies need to come and see us for historic purposes. But that one, they still have to come to us, but they should, and see if we can work something out. The personnel, the deciding people from EBID that proposed, and we were told, proposed that fence and that style of fence to go in that lateral are no longer EBID. And they were not able to tell us why they wanted that fence, that design, and that height. And it looks like what do you call those from a baseball field? It looks like a backstop, So I was like, what? And that's what I told them. It looked like a backstop. You just can't do that. There's certain rules you guys got to follow. And number one is we need to get a hold of Public Works and myself to make sure that we are honoring the design standard of Mesilla in general. So. Other than that, I stand by for any questions.
Thank you. Thank you for having me with those ordinances.
Oh, thank you.
Very, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Salazar. Ms. Maya? Nothing from finance? Great, thank you. We will move on to our next item on the agenda, item number 9, public input on cases, where the public is invited to address the board on the cases that are being heard this evening. I will note that I will keep it to a 3-minute time limit. So if you have comments on the cases or input on the cases being heard, if you would step to the podium and state your name for the record. Okay, no public input. Then we'll move forward to our next item on the agenda under new business, item A, for approval, consideration of a motion to reconsider action taken on agenda item number 7A from the March 9th, 2026 regular meeting concerning PZHAC sign case number 062098, 1200 West University, submitted by Jornada Masonic Lodge, requesting approval to install a sign in the single-family residential zone. So the consideration, just a clarification, because it's a consideration for reconsideration that has to come from a member of the board that voted in the majority at the last meeting. The reason why this is on the agenda is because I did receive notification from a member who would like to potentially look at reconsideration. So with that, the motion has to come from one of the three trustees that voted in the majority.
So moved. Second?
Motion on the floor by trustee Johnson Burek, Mayor Pro Tem Burek, seconded by trustee Garcia for consideration. I will open for discussion of the consideration of the motion to reconsider. Seeing as there is no discussion on the consideration, Gloria, if you can roll call vote, please. Not yet. Not yet.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson Burek? Yes. Trustee Cadena? Yes. Trustee Garcia? Yes. Trustee Nevares?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for approval of the consideration of a motion to reconsider the action. Next item on the agenda, item 10B for approval, consideration of a motion to reconsider action taken on agenda item number 7F from the March 9th, 2026 regular meeting regarding resolution 2026-12 historic property registry designation for 2090 Snow Road.
So moved.
Motion on the floor by trustee Garcia, seconded by trustee Cadena. We'll open it up for discussion.
I'd just like to comment that I appreciated having the additional documentation.
This is only for the consideration for, yeah, this is only consideration for the reconsideration action, and then that it'll be in the next. Any discussion on the motion for reconsideration? All right, with the motion on the floor by trustee Garcia, seconded by trustee Cadena, Gloria, if you can roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Yes. Trustee Nevares?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much for approval of the consideration of a motion to reconsider the action for the registry designation. Next item on the agenda is item 10C under new business for approval. As the motion did pass for reconsideration, this is reconsideration of agenda item 7A from the March 9th, 2026 regular meeting regarding PZHAC sign case 062098 for 1200 West University, submitted by Jornada Masonic Lodge, requesting approval to install a sign in the single family residential zone.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by trustee Garcia, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. And I will open it up for discussion. Now
Thank you, Mayor. Trustees, Eddie Salazar, Community Development. Yes, this is a case we're familiar with. We heard this case last meeting. One of the reasons why we had the work session earlier, that it was proposed maybe through the various process because it wasn't mentioned in the code. There is one thing that I did left out. I did fail to bring up the last meeting. I think it would have made a big difference for the board of trustees to consider, is that the proposed sign falls under our exception to our code. I did reference that as Mesilla Town Code 1865-170C, where it reads, one bulletin board not over 8 square feet in area for public, charitable, or religious institutions when the same are located as the premises of the institute sign. And I think that kind of reads the exact same exact request that this applicant is looking for. So I would like to request the board to reconsider their decision on that, and I stand by for any questions.
Was there any other information that was missed in here from the previous meeting?
That's the only that was the only thing that I added. Other than I didn't add the sign because I didn't know if there was a sign there or not, but I'm hearing more and more that there was a sign there before. So if there was a sign there before, at one point it was approved to have, again, the not a notification, but a sign there letting people know that the building is there. The gentleman did contact New Mexico DOT to make sure that he met all those requirements, and he advised that DOT gave him those requirements, which he will meet the way as he presented today.
Any questions? Or other comments? Okay, seeing as there are none, motion on the floor by Trustee Garcia, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem. Gloria, if you can roll call.
Trustee Garcia?
Yes.
Trustee Navarro?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson Burek?
Yes.
Trustee Cadena?
Yes.
4 yes.
Thank you very much.
For approval, reconsideration of our agenda item 7A from the March 9th regular meeting. Next item on the agenda, 10D, approval as a motion, for approval as a motion for reconsideration did pass for reconsideration of agenda item 7F from the March 9th, 2026 regular meeting regarding resolution 2613, historic property registry designation for 2090 Snow Road.
So moved.
Second.
Pro Tem, seconded by Trustee Garcia. I will open it up for discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, trustees. This is the other case that was reviewed or considered in the last meeting. My understanding, there were some questions for some of the trustees about a particular outline or timeline as far as the series of events, when this happened, when did we call, and I like to first start before I asked Ms. Liana to step up to the podium. I was the original person that they first called. I had a phone call. I did know there was a property on Snow Road that was for sale, but also one of the very first projects I instructed Ms. Liana is to look into that property to see if there is any historic value to the property that the town of Mesilla could benefit from or could use. And so the potential buyer did call, and the call came in, excuse me, the first week of December. I did speak with Ida Lopez, again, the potential buyer, and it's a typical call. It's a typical call to say, hey, I'm interested in this property. I want to know what's in the zoning, what I can and can't do. And I give her, the description of the code, and also advise her that, that property is being considered for nomination for historical preservation. And let me refer you to Ms., we do have an expert in that sense, and let me refer you to our Ms. Liana Aguirre for that. And then from there, she basically conducted the discussions with that. I know also, jump a little bit before Ms. Liana comes up, I did have a meeting with the owner, the property owner, and the Mr. Van here, and the potential buyer and her real estate agent in my office, and then we discussed about, and they questioned, hey, is this property already historic? No, again, I want to be clear, it's nomination. Can I put in a zoning permit to do this to the building? Yes, you can. You can do that, but we still got to follow the process as far as the nomination goes. And that happened. I do believe I have the date here. That was on January 16th, 2026. So we were waiting for that. It took some time. My understanding, the architect drafting up the building plans with some changes of companies or some sort. So it took a little bit. So we waited for a meeting or two, waiting for that to come in, because again, we want to be unfair. We knew that, you know, there was a potential buyer, want to make some changes. We want to make sure that we honor that along with the nominations. But it takes 2 weeks to post for a hearing for nominations. And after the posting of the hearing is when we got the zoning permit for that building from Mrs. Lopez. Again, I'm jumping here a little bit because I wasn't involved the whole time. And then after that, I did receive a letter from the buyer formally withdrawing her zoning application from any interest or consideration from the PZAC and the Board of Trustees. Again, with that, I'll ask Ms. Liana to come up here and give you any further information that she might have.
Good evening, trustees and residents and Mayor. So yes, Mr. Salazar, he covered a great deal of the timeline. And I guess, you know, and one thing I mentioned during the workshop is what we're looking for when we're voting for property. Is it in fact historical? Is it significant to our town? And is it something that we hold as with integrity as an historical property? And I know he kind of went down the timeline, but I would just stand by for any questions on the timeline or any other thing in addition to that.
I have several questions, but first of all, I am one that requested this to come back to the board. Okay, I will take full responsibility on that. And the reason I asked to bring it back, because I do owe you an apology for not paying attention to everything you had said, because there was just too much chaos on the back of it, you know, which you personally did not deserve to be cursed at, and having people jump from chair to chair to chair to chair, talking to other people just threw me off. And then you didn't deserve that. Okay, so I did lose focus on what you were saying, and I was too busy watching and listening to them cuss you out and curse you out, I'm sorry, and people, like I said, jumping chair to chair. First of all, okay, that's I'm apologizing to you for that. So I did ask for reconsider on this one.
Thank you.
Second thing is I did ask, my other question is, I understand we don't need their permission to nominate or to approve. Can we get sued for that? Can they turn around and say, well,
Sorry, if I may, I had consulted with a historic preservation lawyer who is through the National Trust for Historic Preservation, which is a federally mandated preservation entity. And he stated this is very common. There's a lot of situations where people do not consent, but because of the nature of historic preservation, it happens. And I also I refer to Historic Preservation Division, who is Carla McWilliams, and she is the SHPO. And she also stated this is it is not because it is within preservation law. And as I was discussing in the Landmarks and Historic District Act, that we have absolutely all power. The Landmarks and Preservation Act, the District Act even states up until eminent domain that we're able to acquire a property and that's the extremity of historic preservation within our purview and within municipal code.
and is it fair to say that January, you first spoke with him, I believe Mr. Salazar said, about in 2 months to do that application, correct?
Absolutely, yes. And I was under the impression, I was ready to we were ready to hold the meeting 2 weeks prior. And we did give a bit more time because in all fairness, we didn't want to seem as if we were cutting anybody short and not giving an opportunity, although that was very generous because in preservation law, it really is, it's a matter of time. Any property can be demolished at any moment.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Trustees, other questions?
No, I was just going to make the comment that I did. I wish I would have had this information previously that was provided at the last meeting. So I thank you for the extra
documentation. Thank you, Trustee Pro Tem. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing as there is none, motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Trustee Garcia. Gloria, if you can roll call vote, please.
No.
Yes.
Trustee Cadena? Yes. Trustee Garcia?
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 3 yeses and 1 no.
Thank you for approval of a reconsideration for agenda item 7F from the March 9th, 2026 meeting.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda under new business item 10E, approval of PZHAC zoning case 062102 1705B Tierra de Mesilla, submitted by Blanca. Who's here? I can't. Sorry if I butchered that. For El Parian de Mesilla, requesting approval for restaurant floor plan for the commercial zone.
So moved.
Why were we labeled allowed to make comment? You were right.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Boak, but public comment was allowed on the cases at item number 9. That's when public comment was allowed. Sorry about that. You'll have another opportunity at 11 here once we're done hearing the cases for additional comments at that time. Here in just a moment, after we hear the rest of the cases. Sorry, once again, approval for PZHAC case 062102.
So, second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Trustee Garcia. We'll open it up for discussion.
Just like to comment that I appreciate getting all the signatures, so the completed, so that's all.
Any other discussion, trustees? Seeing as there is none, Gloria, if you can roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Trustee Cadena? Yes. Trustee Garcia?
Yes.
Trustee Nevares?
Yes.
Thank you very much for approval of PZHAC zoning case 062102. Next item on the agenda, item 10F for approval zoning case 062105, 2670 Calle de Parian, requested by the town for a carport on the south end of the public safety building in the HR zone.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Trustee Garcia. We'll open it up for discussion on this.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, trustees, Eddie Salazar, Community Development. This is a request was submitted by the town of Mesilla for a carport. I just want to, it's pretty basic. If you look at, I won't have much more to say on this, but it's pretty basic. It's a corrugated steel, natural corrugated steel. It's going to be similar to the one in front of the building, just a little bit longer. And the purpose for that is to shade the vehicles in the back for not just protect them from the sun, the paint, just you take care of your stuff, right? And also as for comfort, so when you get in there, they're not just steaming hot when they're trying to respond to a call. The one thing I will mention is we got our directions of some sort. The application says south of the building, but in actuality, it's on the north side of the building. Other than that, I'll stand by for any questions.
That was my first comment because the picture shows the north side of the building.
Yeah, I just thought that looking behind the building is the backside, meaning south, and then and I tried to say west, but yeah, it's my mistake, and I apologize for that. I figured I'd jump that in before somebody mentions it. I'm sure you all caught it.
Any other questions, trustees? Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Trustee Garcia. Gloria, if we can roll call vote, please.
Trustee Nevares?
Yes.
Trustee Garcia?
Yes.
Trustee Cadena?
Yes.
Mayor Johnson Burek?
Yes.
Mayor, the roll call is 4 yes.
Thank you very much for approval of zoning case 062105. Next item on the agenda is public input. This is where the public is invited to address the board and with a 3-minute time limit. What's up? Oh, sorry. I'm on the wrong.
Yeah.
I did grab the wrong one. I'm gonna borrow yours real quick. Sorry. That's okay. Sorry. Next item on the agenda, 10G, approval of resolution 2026-19 for budget adjustment for the third quarter.
So moved.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Trustee Nevadas. I will open it up for discussion. Seeing as there is none, Gloria, if we can roll call vote, please.
Yes to another budget adjustment.
Yes.
Trustee Cadena?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson Beard?
Yes.
Trustee Nevares?
Yes.
Roll call is 4 yes.
Thank you very much for approval of resolution 2026-19. Now moving on, sorry, item number 11 on the agenda. This is public input where the public is invited to address the board on any other matters. If you would state your name for the record, and then I am going to be enforcing the 3-minute time limit. Step to the podium.
We both come up together.
You can, but it's a 3-minute time limit, but you still state your names for the record.
I'll go, okay. Richard Knopp, owner of 2090 Snow Road. I'm not clear what changed between the last meeting and this meeting. Could somebody explain that to me? I can state what I can see, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. The timeline, I think we're talking about the timeline, supposedly. What I have here, like Eddie said, was Aida, my buyer, called this in December, about the first week in December, to ask about what she could do about remodeling. She put in the plans for remodeling, he said, about January 16th. Then on December, this is December, I'm sorry. In December 20th is when we have stated testimony, Van Bullock, that's when Liana met her contractor out at the farm, and then Aida came later, and there was already the discussion about what couldn't be done. Then on the 21st is when Liana called me to tell me that she was proposing to put my farm up for historical preservation. Well, this farm has been on the market for 2 years. We've been trying to sell it for 2 years. Just in December, we finally get a very interested buyer that wants to buy it. And then on the December 22nd, the day after Liana called me, is when my realtors called me and said, hey, Liana was out there at the farm 2 days ago talking to your prospective buyer and telling them that they couldn't do certain changes because some kind of historical preservation. I said, well, yeah, she just called me yesterday to tell me about that. She said nothing about meeting anybody on my place, nothing about meeting a buyer. She just was telling me that she wanted to put my thing up for historical preservation, and she wanted to meet with me to find out questions, ask me some questions, find out history and stuff. And I said, well, okay, that's fine. But I had no idea that I had a buyer at the time that wanted to do remodeling, and I had no idea that she already told the buyer that she couldn't do the remodeling. None of this, and this is after 2 years of waiting for a buyer, and then all of a sudden at the 11th hour, they cut my leg up. So, okay.
I would recommend, because we won't answer questions, this is just a point for you to give input, to get with myself or staff after the meeting or tomorrow. And we'll...
Okay.
Okay. Know exactly where to start for a 3-minute thing, but
Just your name for the record.
oh, Van Bullock. Is that just the name? I have a grudging admiration for your historical preservation. She obviously is very dedicated to the job. It's a big part of her life, but she made a mistake. I have documentation here, and I'll have more documentation when this gets to court. That she went over to the property on December 20th, before it was zoned historical, and basically told people this is a historic property. You cannot do these things. And so we've gone 3 months of sprint. I've tried to resurrect the deal. I've tried. I thought maybe if this went the other way tonight, I might still have a chance to resurrect the deal. But you know, the Historical Preservation Act defends people, but I don't think they're going to defend her for deliberately misleading people, just deliberately misrepresenting the status of the property. And I will have at least 3 witnesses that'll be able to do that. When unfortunately we're headed to court, I didn't want that to happen. You know, I think there's still opportunities for a win-win here, but she made a mistake in her zeal to preserve this barn, which is still, you know, a football field length away from the road. For people, you know, they can't go in everything unless there's another act that says that when you declare it historical, you can now trespass in to go look at it. I hope that's not going to be coming to this. Now, you talked about, you know, informing people what's going to happen with this historical corridor. I've already talked to Ty Aiken, who owns the best of the park farm. I've talked to John Glacier. First reaction I get is, guys, we're going to get a lawyer. This, when you start doing things to someone's property, taking away their property rights, and the only appeal is to, whether it's historic or not, who gets to decide that? If it's historic or not? Yeah, and with no consideration of financial harm to the owner. This is going to be devastating to his retirement. He has a wife in bad health. Okay, this is a bulk of his retirement, this right here. And to take that away without his permission, with no regard to financial harm, that's just wrong. That's just wrong to do that to someone. And again, this is going to go to court. There's no doubt about that. And Ms. Aguirre, I mean, I admire your zeal, but you made a mistake in your zeal. You made a mistake that hurt people.
Mr. Bullock, I will, just because you're threatening litigation, I will cut you off.
Well, it's not threatening. It's just what's going to happen. You know, I'm sorry, but
So I will cut you off right there.
okay.
Any other public comment?
Trina Witter, and I wanted to speak about the fencing there on the lateral, which I just noticed last Wednesday as I was driving by and was very surprised to see these 10-foot tall poles. And so I made some calls. I called the New Mexico Department of Transportation and asked for their designs, which I did get, and I looked at them. There's nothing on there about fencing. So then I emailed, and I can give you these. And I emailed him back and asked specifically, was it somebody at DOT? Was it somebody at EBID that made this decision? And he said he didn't know, then I'd have to do an IPRA request to EBID. I also called the SHPO office, and I was made aware of the fact, and maybe you already know this, it was news to me, but there's an MOU between the EBID and the New Mexico Historic Preservation Office. And it specifically talks about the ditch system and how they're part of and this goes back to 1995. It has not been updated, but it specifically addresses the ditch system as being on the National Register. It's on the state register. So it's very important. You know, they recognize that it's very important. They have a special carve out in this document for Mesilla, special consultations for the Mesilla Historic District. So one of my questions is, did EBID consult Mesilla? Did EBID consult SHPO? Certainly doesn't sound like it, because I don't think this is something that SHPO would have approved. If they did, that's a conversation that needs to happen between the town and SHPO, that we value our ditch banks. We don't want, you know, batting cages or whatever you want to call them, backstops around our ditch banks, because we love our acequias and our ditches. We love walking on them. Another thing that I was made aware of, that I did not know this, I just looked up Elephant Butte Irrigation District, and it has a Wikipedia entry that it's a 6,870 acre historic district in New Mexico and Texas, which is listed on the National Register of Historic Places since 1997. So that's pretty important. And I think it's something the town needs to look at seriously in future conversations, setting up, I don't know, a liaison or some kind of maybe formal process where when the town, wants to engage with EBID, when they're and making sure that they're aware that we care about what's happening on our ditches, right? So I'm very appreciative of Eddie and Lorenzo going over there and talking to the foreman and getting it stopped. I personally would like to see those poles come down and something else put up there, similar to maybe what's over on Del Norte or some other places. And my time is up. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Martha Mulvihill, and I just want to thank Eddie and Lorenzo also for addressing the polls. I'm blessed by having some of my neighbors here, and we were really concerned with the height of the poles. Why are they putting a fence up? Who decided to put the fence up? It's been like that for 30 years that I've been here without a fence. I think, it doesn't get that full that often. The other thing I wanted to address are the lights on University. Are these lights to do tickets? If people are speeding or what, or are they monitoring us? What's going on? And if we're having these lights put up, how are we going to make revenue off of it? Because we don't have a court system for us to get the revenue back from the tickets. And then on another topic, which I'm very glad I was here for the training today because I attended a planning and zone, New Mexico Municipal League 2-hour presentation on February the 26th. It was free. It was a Zoom meeting. And so it didn't cost the town of Mesilla anything for me to go. But one of the things that was asked was, as far as interpretation of the codes, the ordinances, and we are not supposed to be individually interpreting them. We should all be trained that we're all understanding them the same way. We're not supposed to be putting our personal thoughts and stuff into this. We're supposed to be staying neutral. If we're not following the code, like Eddie said, maybe we all need to get together and I've asked several times for professional training for P&Z and the staff. Maybe that would be the time where we could actually go over the codes, make our recommendations, and give them to you guys, because you guys are very busy. But if we had professional training and everybody's being trained the same way, understanding the codes the same way, I think we'll move ahead on this. Also, they did go over like the staff responsibilities versus the planning and zoning responsibilities and the public trust. The presenter was Brennan Williams, and he is actually the keynote speaker at all of the ones that I've been to. He's a very knowledgeable man, and I'd like to, see if he could come. Also had talked to Miss Real from Alamogordo to see if she would come. And also there's a Mr. Ochoa that I think would be willing to come and train us. And I think that we need somebody that's not connected, somebody that is neutral and brings us all the information so that we can, start weeding through some of this stuff and get us back on track. Because it is going to take a long time. But, you guys are very busy, and I think that planning and zoning would be a great place to start. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Beverly Estrada. I'm also gonna piggyback on the lights and the fencing that's occurring on University Avenue. Thank you, Eddie and Lorenzo. And I also want to say that out of the Board of Trustees, there's one that has been present and listened to all the residents from start to finish on the concerns. So I have brought these concerns forward to Mayor Hernandez. I presented the NEMAC, I presented New Mexico law, and I presented where Mesilla's town ordinance supersedes state of New Mexico law because we're grandfathered in. So the lights should not be up on University. This was brought up back in October 2025 when we were at Zia Middle School. Everybody from Capri are on. They voiced it to you. They said, we don't want the lights. They need to come down. Next thing we know, the lights are up. So I'm making it clear. The lights don't have to be up. There's no violation of no New Mexico law. We do have to abide by New Mexico statute, but our ordinances can go above theirs. It doesn't have to mimic, it doesn't have to mirror. So I would like an answer as to what the resolution is going to be for those lights. They're not wanted. The fencing, that needs to come down. I'm not going to say it looks like a ballpark. It looks like the Walking Dead image. It's taken away from the town of Mesilla. It's taken away from its character. It's taken away from the preservation, and it's taken away from the integrity. That's what we're all here to preserve, was voiced numerous times. It would be nice to see some of the other trustees out there talking to the residents about all the concerns this construction is bringing forward. So with that said, I would like my question answered as to what are we going to do to continue to stand on our ordinance and get rid of the lights, because our ordinance does supersede per NEMAC, per State of New Mexico statutes, what they want to enforce. Take Calle del Norte, for example. If I could just get a response to that and when that fence would come down. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Estrada. Other public comment?
Good evening, Nora Barraza, Town of Ancaya del Sur. I'm here for a couple of reasons. Concerns from residents have been contacting me regarding issues going on in the town of Mesilla. First of all, I do not understand why you would have a work session at 6 o'clock when a meeting is scheduled. Residents expect to have a meeting at 6 and not sit through an hour of a work session when they're expecting to be at a meeting. And these are just from what I've heard tonight. The fireworks business license, if it has been updated but it's not codified, you should still be receiving those permits should still be being processed. There's no reason that revenue is not coming into the town, because if the ordinance still stands, there should be permits that each person that is buying fireworks should be filling out, and that revenue should be coming to the town for what I really came for tonight. So on the Get Up property, last year in the fall, the mayor and the donors of the property, of the Get Up property, we sat down and had a meeting. And at that meeting, it was discussed about a committee to oversee the property and what's going to happen. At that time, I voiced to the mayor and to the donors that I would very much like to be a participant on that committee, and I hope that still stands. Second, the Armijo property, the Airbnb that is being built. I think our community development coordinator director has been with the town long enough to know that the utilities should have been connected to the town. Obviously, they were being connected to the building, and I think Eddie knows better than that to give approval for that.
Please do not direct anything.
Oh, I'm not directing it to Eddie, I'm directing it to you.
But you are attacking a team member.
No, I'm just saying he should have known better. Okay, it is what it is. But I think the town can do better in following the codes that is in process. And the mayor and the staff and the board of trustees should know better. The other is the town hall expansion. I understand you, the mayor, have been going around soliciting for funds for expansion for the town without transparency. We as the residents did not even realize that you were wanting to add, I don't know how many millions of dollars worth to this town hall when we have infrastructure needs in this community. We have water lines that are so aged that need to be replaced, but we want to add on to the town hall. What are the priorities of this board?
Thank you, Ms. Barraza. I appreciate it. Other public comment? You cannot see time.
My name is Marcy Toomey. I'm in Mesilla Farms. I'm happy to hear that we're all concerned about the poles and the backstop. And I appreciate that you're dealing with these people, Mayor, and you said you were contacting them. So I'm going to let that one rest. But my next question is, it's recently come to my attention that we have fire plugs and fire hydrants that have no water going to them. And I'm very concerned about that, and I'm wondering, do we all know about that, and what's being done about that? That's it.
Thank you. Other public comment? Seeing as there's no other public comment, we'll move on to our next item on the agenda, Board of Trustee Committee reports. Trustee Nevada.
I guess that's related maybe to our economic and community development department, but I did have a conversation with a faculty member at the university relating to preservation of agricultural, the agricultural area, and also the usage of water or the lack of water, and perhaps alternative farming methods and alternative plants. And so I'm going to try to connect that faculty member with Mr. Salazar to continue the conversation. That's it.
Garcia.
We had an MPO meeting. I forgot my notes, so I'm gonna leave it to Mayor Pro Tem. I'm so sorry. That was about 5 or 6 that I needed to attend it. We do have an upcoming meeting for, is it transit? This Wednesday. This Wednesday, so it starts at 4. It's at 4, so unfortunately that community meeting, I probably won't be able to make it because we have that meeting to go to. So that's about it.
Trustee Cadena.
Yeah, attended the J. Paul Taylor meeting. Things are moving right along there. Of course, business is slower in January and February, but it's picking up. That's really all I have. And we have a South Central Transit meeting on Wednesday.
Thank you, Trustee Cadena. Mayor Pro Tem.
NPO meeting that we had, we discussed, and it's a very quick meeting, so thank you. Thank you to you and Andrew. We discussed the congressional reauthorization presentation, rather it was a presentation, my apologies. We had the NPO bylaws revision presentation, and then we discussed the evaluation of the executive director and how that will happen. And our next meeting, I believe it's Wednesday, April 8th. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And then thank you for reminding me, MPO members, that there was a survey that was sent out for the director's evaluation. As it was noted, if you can get those to me if you have not already. So we did have an MPO meeting. I was out on vacation all last week, so that team did take care of a lot of business while I was out. So thank you to the team for that. I don't have any other committee reports otherwise as of right now. So we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is Board of Trustee comments. Trustee Nevades.
I don't have anything.
Trustee Garcia.
I do, of course, like always. So we were in Santa Fe the first week of February, the mayor, Trustee Cadena, and myself. And I reached out to Representative Cadena because she had said that she was going to help us get those, I'm probably saying completely wrong, SCBA backpacks. And obviously it slipped through the cracks that it was not submitted to the correctly, and she wanted to fund that. And didn't get funded because it was not entered into legislative correctly. Someone's really, I hope we bring in the next meeting, why in it? I didn't know the guy that passed away, okay, I didn't. But it broke my heart when I pulled up that same day and I see Cruces had all these approvals, got money, the county did, and Mesilla, one thing, the building. Somebody really needs to explain to me why that building is way more important than these backpacks, fire hydrants. What's the point of having a building if we don't have 100% fire hydrants? But then yet, we're going to try to get money for the fire hydrants. Like, we just approved a safety thing, and we're talking about safety. How did that become a priority? What happened to our town? What happened to the safety in our town? The water, like Laura was saying, I emailed Cadena and I asked her, like, what happened? Like, please just clarify it for me. And she wrote in an email that she tried. She tried to get it funded for us, but it slipped. Somebody's got to hold responsibility for this. Like, somebody has to hold responsibility. And then we're gonna piggyback off the county to help us get these backpacks. She funded it before with other ones, and she has it here in the email. Like, but we made sure the building was on there. Why is that a priority? Why? I finally get to say this. It must have been a priority for the previous administration. I finally get to say it. But bring it up for discussion, please, because I really need to know, why is this building so important than the safety of our residents? And I'm so frustrated with it. It's sad. We're fighting $9 million for a building, but yet we can't get all our fire hydrants working? I want an explanation. I don't want a one-on-one meeting. Please. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Trustee Garcia. Trustee Cadena.
I don't have anything today.
Thank you. And, you know, all I want to say is we have community meeting tomorrow, 11 and 6 o'clock at the community center. That is for commemorative park improvements. This is not just going to be the single and only meeting that we hold. There'll be several other meetings that we do for potential upgrades to happen to that park. We do have the community event that's also going on Friday for the planting of our community garden, Friday afternoon and then Saturday morning. We are planning on ribbon cuttings and other events on April 22nd, which is also Earth Day. We're going to do a community cleanup on that day, do the ribbon cuttings for the park improvements, do the ribbon cuttings for the charging stations, as well as other projects that'll be completing at that point in time or should be completed. I just want to note that before I finish is that in previous meetings, we specifically that there was one meeting, just not even 2 meetings ago, where we went through capital improvements, how it works in Santa Fe, that there's money that's available for water infrastructure specifically and other infrastructure, roads infrastructure, so on and so forth. Doesn't come through capital funding. It goes through specific grant funding. That was brought up all through that. So if there's questions, please reach out. I'm fine to answer any questions that you have. And we'll be going through a process of capital improvements in the upcoming meetings for the upcoming budget. So we can adjust anything and everything, however you all want to see it. And with that, the time, I'm sorry? Oh, sorry. Easter Bunny on the Plaza is this coming, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Easter Bunny is this coming Wednesday at 1 o'clock on the Plaza. If you haven't been to that event, come on out and join us. It's a fun event. And with that, if there's not any other discussion, the time is 8:17, and I will call this meeting as adjourned. Thank you.